Here we have another video from Meenan Transmissions. We reached online at MeenanTransmissions.com. 2 locations, one in Willow Grove and one in Lansdale to serve you. The transmission we're looking at today actually is a 5R110. This is out of a 6-liter Ford diesel truck. And I can honestly say this could be the worst trans failure that I've ever seen. This is a corporate fleet truck. So the drivers are, they're trying to get to the job, and there's no way that this transmission didn't give indications that it had some problems. But instead of pulling over and trying to preserve it and minimize the parts damage, they just kept driving it. So when it was towed in, had no movement. We can see this transmission got hot enough it actually melted the Prindle switch here. This is essentially what tells the computer what position the transmission is in. When you move the gear shifter, this pivots, and when it pivots, that sends feedback to the computer to tell the transmission solenoids what to do. Here are the shift solenoids. This transmission 5R110 is a point-to-point control. Essentially, it doesn't really have a valve body. Instead, it uses duty cycle or pulse width modulated solenoids that are commanded by the computer to determine the shift feel, shift timing, etc. Here we have a transmission with a temperature sensor. These components weren't melted, but the Prindle switch itself was. Here's the back of the case. See the bushings driven out of the case. Looks like it started to melt the aluminum there. Okay. This is what we saw in the pan. It's a combination of aluminum, clutch material, melted plastic. Here's the rest of the transmission. We can see that this section here is actually, this aluminum. When we opened it before it was wet, it actually was like powdered, turned to dust. So it got so hot it actually cooked the transmission fluid off. See, all these springs are all twisted and melted. Here's what we have in the one center support component here. This is melted. See that where it spun there is all melted. So this transmission essentially has no components that are going to be usable. Pump's probably chewed up, judging from the amount of material. We'll disassemble that and inspect it. But people always ask me what it's going to cost to rebuild, and it's very difficult to assess until you get it apart. And this is a prime example of why it is difficult to assess the damage of a transmission until it's apart, because this is a transmission where getting a replacement unit may be the only logical sound option because of the extensive parts required here.